The other thing that made the partnership so valuable, and I think is a lesson for everything that I'm going to do going forward, was like, especially in the beginning when not even 10 people were listening. I think it was probably you and I 5 times each, and that was the 10 lessons. But we still were celebrating. We were still texting each other little emojis and looking at our bar graphs go up and enjoying that something was live, that we had created something that was just a conversation and then a piece of paper and then some emails and then, whoa, here it is. It exists out in the world. Welcome to 99 Humans. My name is Jeff Lakusta, curious coach and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, striving to understand how little things generate big impact.
And I'm Nadia Carta, tech executive and lifestyle coach with a mission to transform lives and corporations by kindling hearts to generate a zeal for life.
Each week, we investigate stories about the human side of leadership to re-energize your spirit and help you become a stronger leader.
Because the reality is that leadership is messy, goofy, challenging, but always human.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of 99 Humans. Nadia and I are I don't know what emotion to lead with. So mixed emotions. This is the sort of wrap up of a very long journey. But how are you doing, Nadia?
Well, now that I see you, I'm doing very well. You always bring this energy, Jeff. Everybody, if you have a chance to meet Jeff in person, you will see. So I'm so happy I missed you.
Same for me. And it's, like one little lesson at the beginning is what a blessing. We started this, Nadia. Our first episode went live on December 19th, 2022. And we know before that first episode went live, there was so much conversation and planning and brainstorming. But since that moment, we've had this pretty immovable block of time together, which, what a gift, what an amazing thing to build into my life over the last 3 years, a chance to kind of refill with somebody that I love and get some energy and talk to cool people. What a cool thing that we've done, no matter what it becomes or who listened to it. It was just so cool for me.
I'll say, and I'm sure this resonates with a lot of people, that when we started, the thought of doing 99 of this was probably daunting because
we should have picked a smaller number.
We were even like, how are we going to find the people? We knew nothing about creating a podcast, and somehow magically we magnetized all of these incredible leaders that came our way. And to your point of having this Friday slot booked, no matter what was happening and no matter what was going on, it did bring so much happiness and joy. I mean, again, because I love you, number one. But then we've met all of these incredible folks that when I think about their voices, when I think about the stories that they shared, when I think about the vulnerability, it's been such a enriching moment. And I gotta tell you, there were days that I was like, oh my God, I need to record the show. I have so much going on in my head and my schedule and everything. And yet I was pushing myself to do it. And at the end of every conversation, I will be like, oh, that was magical and amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to put just a little bit of a frame for folks on how we'll talk about this. So I think let's talk about the process. Exactly what you're describing is one big thing we want to reflect on. What was it like to start, to actually do this thing, to finish? And then at the end, we'll share a few of our top lessons and takeaways from the amazing conversations that we had. Because it really is like two different things happening. Like we were making a thing and doing work, and we were learning these valuable lessons. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But to your point on starting, I had no idea what we were doing. I mean, I thought we were writing a book, and we have pages, but so that's sort of happening in the background. But here we are at 99 podcast episodes later. This is not part of the journey that I expected from the beginning, but I'm so glad that we took that turn.
We do need to get the ball rolling with our book.
It will happen.
I know it will happen. Yeah, I mean, listen, there was such an interesting, well, a couple of interesting lessons. Number one is I could have not done this, Jeff, with anybody else that I would have not loved like I love you. Like full stop. And this for me is a big lesson for everybody. Like if you decide to go on a venture, you have to do it with somebody that aligns on your values. And of course, I
Mm.
mean, you and I are very different in so many items, but we do align a lot on our values of positivity and inclusion and aspiration and expansion. And that's fundamental. Like you cannot go and build something with somebody that doesn't share those things, because again, you and I basically were talking and seeing each other and we had tough conversations. I remember you and I in the car talking about money, talking about investments, how do we do it. So you've been so special in doing this together, and that was number one for me, the key success factor for this.
I absolutely agree. And it makes me think of some of the people who kind of shared that lesson as well. Like Monique Dawkins, one of our very first episodes, shared what happened when the people sucked and how toxic it could be. And it's like, well, this isn't the experience that I would ever want. Like, gosh, how important it is to really surround ourselves with folks who are going to be building us up instead of tearing us down. And there were lots of hard things. I mean, we had to come to alignment on branding, which seems silly, but like it's actually a lot of decisions. And then when things went wrong and we didn't have a backlist of episodes left, and folks were kind of pulling out at the last minute going, oh, I don't actually want to go live, like the day we were going live. And we're like, okay, well, now we have nothing. Does it really matter? No. But it kind of matters because we got to do 99 of these things and we can't keep skipping every week or this is going to take forever.
Yeah, and all the money that we invested. I mean, I think I'm not kidding. I think we probably have like $1,500 out there of people that watched their episodes already edited and said, yeah, we cannot go live. We don't like it. And I'm like, yeah, can you say that before?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody can do whatever they want, but we've allocated resources that we kind of took the hit and did it. There's one thing for me connecting to number two that was very evident and that really shaped me as a person in this past 3 years. And I want to hear your perspective. So you and I, both of us, had no idea, no clue of what the heck podcasting were. Like we didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
where to begin. We started magnetizing these people. We started magnetizing people helping us edit the episode, our fantastic Genomso, and people helping us in guest management and everything. But like fundamentally, you and I putting our faces out there, we were like, at some point that maybe I was feeling an imposter even, like, oh yeah, I have a podcast, but I've never done it before.
Yeah.
And for me, there was this element that I don't know if you remember this, but at the very beginning, I was like, oh my God, my voice and my accent. I mean, I was re-listening to myself and I'm like, whoa, like, and I think we were able to build such confidence on ourselves that our voices mattered. And regardless, having 10 people watching the episode or 1,000 people listening to us, it truly is the same, because what matters is ourselves listening to our own voices and being happy with it.
Yeah. I think you're bringing up one of the other, I mean, there's positivity that's innate in what you're saying. But the other thing that made the partnership so valuable, and I think is a lesson for everything that I'm going to do going forward, was like, especially in the beginning when not even 10 people were listening. I think it was probably you and I 5 times each, and that was the 10 lessons. But like, we still were celebrating. We were still texting each other little emojis and looking at our bar graphs go up and enjoying that something was live, that we had created something that was just a conversation and then a piece of paper and then some emails and then whoa, here it is. It exists out in the world. And what's interesting is there was nothing to celebrate, in quotes. Like there was no real reason, there was no milestone. This was something that's a personal project way outside of our jobs, way outside of what we know how to do, to your point. And yet it was enriching our lives, not just with the time, but these little reasons to pop a bottle of champagne or to text each other a cat emoji or whatever and celebrate, which is I mean, that's life. These 3 years were when life was happening. If the goal was just to get to this conversation, I don't think we ever would have got there because, this is a cool moment to wrap it up, but we needed all of those moments before here to really to sustain.
But which brings me to number 3 about commitment. And I mean, look, everybody, I want to recognize we have a very big privilege, right? Like I work in corporate, I have financial stability, and you have your stability. So we were able to say, let's do a passion project. Like not many people can do and bring to life their passion projects like we did. So I want to recognize our privilege. In that moment, taking a decision to say, you know what, whatever it happens, we are going to do 99. Doesn't matter if one person is going to watch, if one person is going to listen. It doesn't matter if we're get advertising or speaking gig or whatever it is, whatever it takes, we're doing 99. So we took that decision like a commitment to say, let's do a project and let's do it end to end, regardless, without the pressure of results. Like we didn't say, oh, if we're going to get to 1 million views, we will continue. Otherwise, we will stop. And I will say, Jeff, that conversation that we had in New York on a sunset day in December took so much pressure off. Because we said, we didn't say, oh, we're going to tie our desire to do this to somebody else grading ourselves like we do in the corporate world all the time.
Yeah.
We said, you know what, we're doing something that we believe is good for society. We believe is good for our network, our friends. And how many times people stopped me, stopped you, or on social media saying, oh my God, what you guys are doing is super cool. Oh my God, I listened to this episode and it brought me some joy. Oh my God, I watched this and this perspective really helped me. Nowadays in society, taking a commitment on something that you don't even know if it's going to work and who says that it works, it's such a luxury.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I am also very achievement oriented. So to get out of that mindset, or at least to frame achievements in things that were in our control, to your point, that was smart and we're lucky, or I don't know what of it, but a lot of our guests also talked about how important it was to kind of take care of yourself. Our very first episode was a difficult health journey, and we heard a lot of those across the 99. But when I think about that, and then I think about how our mental health, like from Newton Chang talking about the importance in his own journey to find it, to physical health, it is linked too to feeling like we're in some sort of control over our own reactions, our own goals, our own everything. And I think you're absolutely right that was a piece of what let us get all the way to the end here, was that we had, I don't know if we did it on purpose, but we had made a point, I guess, to only set those goals not based on the million views or listeners or subscribers, or there's just so many metrics in podcasting world. Like it's so tempting to only focus on that. And yet we were really like, no, we just want to get the 99. Like that's our goal. So one step at a time. And it took longer than I think either of us expected. And still we were able to enjoy it every step of the way.
And we did take the decision to say, you know what, we're not investing in marketing. Like I remember we tried at the very beginning to do some things, and then we saw quickly that it was a drain on our resources. We could have probably invested 10 times what we did into social media activity, PR, or doing whatever to push this podcast to new heights. And in a way, it kind of flowed that we didn't do it because we were focusing on it, just the conversations with those people. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen now with the book, but the whole idea to escaping the achievement trap as a recovered type A competitive individual, I found it very healing. Like I find this idea to say, I don't care who's watching. I'm just doing it because I have pleasure.
And was it always pleasurable? Like, it's an interesting thing because it was also like, okay, we're at the end, and part of me is like, well, it's kind of nice to have Friday, like kind of nice to not have an immovable object on the calendar too. So it's a funny mix because yes, big time, yes. And it was hard and annoying and inconvenient and all the things that come with hard work at the same time. So it's a funny, if we didn't have that tension, I don't think it would have been enjoyable either. Like if it was smooth sailing and easy breezy and no big deal, I'm not sure we would have gotten to the end either, because who cares? It did feel like we were constantly pushing a boulder up a hill, and it was new challenges each time. And yeah, we were able to find a rhythm, of course, doing this 99 times, more than 99, since we had, so many things that didn't end up out in the world. But I think that helped the healthy kind of like growth, I guess, mindset that we were both learning how to podcast, learning how to basically start a small company, learning how to manage our energy and our, we took classes even in the beginning, which maybe you
My
need more
God.
classes on like, how do we podcast and sound good doing this thing?
Yeah, and then we're like, yeah, who cares? I mean, we're not becoming Stephen Bartlett, even though I wish when I read this, they're like, oh, like I still dream of continuing podcasting, I'll say, because the experience really taught me that I really enjoy this type of format and being with people, even though I understood that when I do a next one, I would love to do it in person, for example. I would love
Yeah.
to have a studio, because every time I had that pleasure, for me, it brings something even more. I want to double click on something that you said, because, and I'm going to drop one of my bombs for our episodes as well. Certainly, we've had episodes and times where, like, oh my God, I need to record today. Like, I'm not in a good shape. I mean, I'm sure people would guess which ones that I showed up with my hair all over the place and
Or physically ill. Like sometimes
oh
we were
my
just sick.
God. I remember there was one that I was listening recently. I was like, geez, I sounded very sick. And yet I did it. So that was interesting as well. But I also want to say, with all the respect for all of the people that came on the show, because they donated our time and all of that, I did have episode and guests that I didn't particularly enjoy. Did this happen to you?
Yeah, for sure. And this is not a tell-all episode where we,
We're not
spill
gonna
all the
say which
tea.
ones. We're not gonna say each which ones.
But of course, and I think part of it, a huge part of it, is us, right? Like on the day that I'm sick, logging in, well, maybe I don't connect so much, and I think that's interesting. Like on an episode, some of the ones that were more difficult for me, the whole frame of this idea was, let's get behind the resume bullets and the flashy language and hear stories from human beings leading other human beings. And just to put it bluntly, even with all the prep and the emails and the PDFs and the everything, some guests just couldn't do it. Like we just couldn't. There are episodes that are live where we're like, well, I'm not sure we ever got deeper than the surface level or deeper than the sound bites that we hear them say to anybody else or on any other stage or opportunity. And those were almost always the ones, and there weren't many, fortunately, but those were the ones I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's do this. We'll just go through the motions. But I found that to be pretty interesting amongst so many, the vast majority of deeply, encouraging and enlightening and invigorating conversations, to have a couple real clunkers because they didn't feel human. I guess that permeates more than just a 30-minute podcast episode. But let's see. That's just that's our hypothesis on this show, I think.
I see where you're going there. Well, I think there was also a lesson for me, which is something that you covered when you interviewed Eisen, the debate part of it, like when you need to deal with people that have different beliefs and values than you. Like we did have episodes where there were guests that I was like, yeah, I mean, this is not a value that I agree with. And how to disagree respectfully which is something that I'm still learning. I didn't have the luxury of taking those debate classes that you guys did in America. In Italy, they didn't exist. But I'm like, yeah, like how am I gonna do? How am I gonna stay pleasant with this person that I fundamentally disagree with everything they're saying and don't want to be associated with it? So that was
Yeah.
also something that I found myself in few occasions to be like, I actually remember two specific occasions that I was like, whoa, how am I going to get out of this?
Yeah. Yeah. Which good lesson. I mean, it's just humans. It was cool to go out into the world and open ourselves up. I think about like Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes or whatever. For any, if you've seen that, that was kind of what this felt like. Was who wants to talk, and who wants to share. And of course, we had got the luxury in the end to be a lot more choiceful and who we wanted to interview. But in the beginning, we were just asking people for recommendations once they'd been on, or opening ourselves up. And we got a whole wide net. I mean, of course we did. And fortunately, to sort of propel us past the funny, real, not so good conversations, the vast majority, like how cool that as wide of a net as we had, that so many of these 99 were incredible people who I found this to be a neat, interesting, humanizing thing. No matter who they were, what they'd accomplished, the wisdom that they were dropping in such a short conversation with often total strangers, with us meeting for the first time, maybe second time. They were all sort of asking, well, I don't think I have anything interesting to say. And then at the end going, well, was that okay?
Yeah.
Everybody. And it's like, of course, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for sharing. And I thought that was so interesting to see CEOs and teachers and policemen and military people all kind of have those same reactions to our conversation.
That's so true. I mean, obviously, I have my favorites. There were many episodes that I watched over and over and over. Some of them because I maybe just enjoyed their voices, but others because they were like, hell yeah, like this is like amazing content. Like I'm gonna learn something here that is really helping me in my career. Like I can name probably like five that were like, yeah, like these were like unforgettable. And to your point, often those people are people that are unforgettable in real life.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that I do firmly believe, even at the end of this podcast, that for the majority of the people we had on, we magnetized the energies that were those of incredible leaders, like people that I would work with. Like many times I found myself saying, hey, yeah, I would work with you. Like you're amazing. And that for me is a testament of conducting yourself in life in the way that you want to be treated even by others, and attracting what you are putting out. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm a bit woo in the whole concept of manifesting, but
Yeah.
I kind of think is true.
It's true. I mean, there's so much research on the science behind it, and there's so many words for it. So whatever we call it, huge believer in putting out into the world what you want. And more often than not, you're going to start to see it out there, coming your way or around you or through people that you know. And I love that. And it's a powerful thing. Well, that does, I think, bring us pretty naturally to, well, what did we learn from all these people? What were those lessons? So I'm happy to kick it off. And one of the things that if anybody has listened to even just a couple of episodes, this one screams out at us. So it's an obvious one, but how important it is to root ourselves in our values. To be an authentic human leader that attracts other humans to want to work with us, to achieve amazing results through the agency of other humans, either as customers or as teammates and team members. We have to know who we are and what we value. We heard it in Jules' conversation about being mixed race, episode number 34. Cindy's episode number 19, which was about moving from India to South Africa. Episode 2 with Nick Lindsay, our aerospace conversation, where ultimately this was making or breaking the cultures of companies and of countries' competitive advantages in a really competitive industry. And to see all these different lenses for how it mattered to incredible leaders and how they went through their own experience of learning who they were, sort of having that dawning realization and then going, okay, now I'm going to be intentionally that way. And the difference that that started to make in their careers and their lives and their happiness. Boy, I think it might be a cliche. I don't know, but it is so powerful to talk to person after person after person, talk about the difference it made in their life. It definitely made me a believer.
Yeah, I love that. For me, one lesson that I really took away, and it's such a validation. We've heard it from so many. Now, I didn't wrote down the episodes, but we've heard it like from Sean, which was one of our latest episodes. I remember we've learned from Niche. Oh my God, we learned it also from Sandra when we did the duo.
Oh, yes, that was so
I
fun.
I loved when we were doing the duo interviews, by the way.
Andrew and Ryan, episode 84.
Oh my God, I love that so much. One of my favorite episodes with the Python, when we were talking about the Python, that wonderful couple there. But it's really this concept of, I don't want to use the buzzword of vulnerability or authenticity because everybody speaks about it. But maybe it's simplified is just simply recognize when you've been not a great person. And and just admit that you made a mistake, maybe because you were overdriven or for whatever reason, it can happen. And saying it, like saying, hey, like I've been not a good partner. I've not been a good colleague, or I did this mistake. Like, and in
Yep.
every episode, when people were talking about those situations, how bright is the light on the other fence of these conversations? Those are the hardest, but they are the highest rewarding conversations. Like looking yourself in the mirror and saying, dang, I dropped the ball this time and I'm going to make it up. So this for me was a very powerful one.
Absolutely agree. Um, it's funny because we had a two I think couple conversations where it was multiple people, right? And they both stick out to me as being so fun, which is maybe a little lesson in of itself was if, just do something. And those couple episodes were examples of just doing it. It was like, oh, I don't know, that's not really the format of our show, but let's give it a shot. And we had Jing Suk talking about overcoming career inertia on 73, and Morris talking about the importance of new habits in 69. But there were so many conversations. It was like, just do something. And it's funny that then they stand out to you as being some of your favorite episodes. Because in a way, it's like a little example of, yeah, I mean, we could have said no to that. That was totally not what we were doing. That wasn't what we thought this show was going to. And then they were incredible. And it wouldn't have mattered if they flopped.
Yeah.
But because we were open and just saying yes and moving and doing things and trying to let action then kind of pan out, well, what's the good stuff from the bad stuff? And again, that was something we heard from person after person was the difference in taking a risk or in moving countries or states or industries. And then that they reflectively looked back and went, well, that changed everything. And it was just a decision. It was a moment. But I don't think we heard a whole lot of, well, it was that time when I didn't do the thing that everything changed.
Never.
It was the time that I said no, that everything went awesome. It was always the yes. It was always the action, the activity. And I think there's a lot of wisdom. And again, just the quantity of people that we talked with, all echoing a similar idea about just do it.
Yeah.
Just go, go, go. And then you kind of open yourself up to the good things that can happen from there.
Well, I have a kind of a interesting question for you, Jeff. When you and I started painting the picture of the show, we had a lot of conversation around what are the people that we want to interview. And at some point, we're like, oh, do we want corporate people? No, we want people from all the industries. And then we're like, oh, maybe one day we will do 100 teachers, a hundred of this. And then,
I remember we definitely, our eyes were bigger than our stomachs back then.
oh my God, we were like so many ambitions. And so I want to ask you, because I've been really thinking about all of this a lot. But what would be 3 profiles that we didn't have the chance to interview
Mm,
and that you would have loved to interview?
that's a great question. I don't think, did we have a politician?
I don't think, because I would have loved to say the same. I think we had somebody that worked in politics, but not a politician.
Yes, I think that's right. That, and now most politicians probably wouldn't identify with being a politician, which is a joke, of course, where it's like this is a career life at this point, better or worse, certainly worse in my opinion. But it would be interesting because maybe call me a skeptic, but it feels almost like that's a career built on absolutely not being human, doing anything but being human, but pretending and trying to create this facade of humanity as hard as you can when you know the assignment is to not let it break through. But if we could have a real conversation, which I'm not really sure that you can, again, maybe skeptical. This is why it would be a good stretch and a good push for me. But I kind of would like to see behind the scenes, because I've heard some stories and know a little bit. And I worked in Parliament just as an intern years and years and years ago, and I couldn't believe what I learned. And it's like, well, this is important to realize.
Yeah, definitely. I would have loved a politician, like a mayor, or like, I mean, somebody from the Senate. I don't know. That would have been good. Government, like a
So
government.
cool.
So cool. Another category that I wished we would have interviewed, or, very difficult to find, would be somebody from a religion establishment. Like, I would have loved, like, somebody from like a church or like a synagogue, or, somebody that has a leadership position in this very important and very traditional establishments. I would have had so many
Yes.
questions for those.
It was neat to have, we had the wife of a rabbi, and that's as close as we came. But I agree, because that gave the spark of, there's so many different types of leadership in different churches. But gosh, that was a really interesting conversation, because it brought in, now a lot of our leaders did have rich spiritual lives, and we talked a lot about this, but it's different to be a leader, to really associate with leadership within that kind of spirituality or religion. I
What
agree.
is a third? What is a third? They are like, oh, I wish we had this.
It's, I'm so lucky because we did aspire to have a very broad set. And I think we were successful. I mean, we had a really different array of people. We had quite a few teachers, but just because I have in my family, and I know they've got crazy good stories, administrators in education would have been an interesting sort of layer to complement the teaching perspective that we also had.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we had that. And boy, just education is such a important and complex and broken, not in like catastrophic ways, but I feel like everybody has got their own opinions on what's broken, but nobody thinks it's not broken.
Yeah, like a dean.
Yeah. So what the heck? What do we do about that? What's really going on? What are the
Yeah.
challenges? How do you lead these old organizations often, or huge organizations, to change what we all sort of feel needs change? But I'm not sure that we're making moves for that to happen. So why? What's getting in the way? And it's human stuff. I mean, that's always what it is.
Yeah. Well, 2 other profiles that I'm like, ooh, I wish we had this. I would have loved to interview a farmer, like somebody that is like a farmer for a living, that maybe they manage like a big ranch or something, because they deal with humans, but they also deal with so many things that are out of their control, like all of this animals and all of that. Maybe because I'm being influenced by watching Yellowstone.
There you go. Great show.
And then another one that I actually don't remember if we did it or not, but maybe not, like a surgeon. Like I think we interviewed somebody managing a hospital that we did,
Yep.
but I would have loved to speak with like a surgeon, like somebody that has to manage an operating room with the staff and everybody like that, while you're also opening a human body, like that's leadership. Like how do you deal with that situation with so much pressure that, you know, you need to do whatever it takes, and sometimes you might show up as a non-human leader if you need to yell at people to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, future podcasts potentially can get into this, but it really is, it's just cool. I think that's, one of the overarching emotions for me is I feel cool that we did this thing. I'm proud that we did it. I'm happy, I'm excited. I feel like a different person. Our life journeys. I mean, I quit a job and started a whole new career, and like life has happened while we've done this.
I turned red, but you did change your job.
I mean, these are cool big things, and we still managed to get there. So, congrats to you, congrats to us. I feel
Congrats
like it's
to
only
you.
right that we end the episode with the question that we were always asking our guests, which is, what piece of advice maybe do we want to leave with?
Hmm. I thought you were about to ask me to spill the beans one and forever on who was my favorite. I think everybody's wondering who was your favorite because we know that we do have it. Mm, my piece of advice. I do have one piece of advice for everybody. Well, so my piece of advice, I think, is around this concept that we were saying, Jeff, about finding what sparks that thing in you that, I always say sparks your zeal, but ultimately that's what it is. And just finding what it is. And it doesn't matter if it's going to make you money, if it's not going to make you money. Hopefully, it's not going to cost you too much money. But really finding in life what is that source of passion, energy, love, happiness. Like, what is that thing that makes you vibrate so much that others want to be around you? I think that that is my biggest piece of advice because I've seen it also in this podcast. Nobody wants to be around play vanilla folks. And I actually wrote
Hmm.
a LinkedIn post about this today. I'm like, I beg you, everybody, just be an espresso martini,
Uh,
Like, be that thing that it's the choice. Like, be that person that is bringing that energy to others. Don't be a downer. Is this how they call it? Like a Debbie Downer, I think in English.
yep. Yep.
They, like, don't be that. And that doesn't mean don't be sad or don't be negative. You have all the rights to feel whatever you feel at any moment in time. And for others and for yourself, be that person that is expanding, be that person that sees the
Yeah.
possibility, because that's really all that it is in life, especially in this AI age. There's no other way to live a long and fulfilling life unless you find that thing that makes you become an espresso martini.
I love that.
That's my
I
advice.
mean, I want to be around cool, interesting people, and we got to be ourselves in order to be cool and interesting, because that's way more interesting than some cookie cutter version that we think we're supposed to be.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What is your piece of advice?
I think my piece of advice is pretty simple, which is if you think you might want to do something, just do it. Like we a bit of a sad turn, but we had conversations with people who are no longer alive.
Oh my God, we did.
And we talked to people who have since been diagnosed with very serious illnesses. And of course, the many conversations about people overcoming those serious things as well. But with the fun, energetic side to what we were saying about, we didn't know what we were doing and we just said go. And gosh, what an amazing experience, to the much more serious same lesson of, well, we don't know how long we have. And if I want to live a full life, the more reasons that I, block myself from doing the things that would give me energy are days where, I can't get back. So that really was one of the lessons that came through, and just feeling the fun successes and hardships and growth of doing this, and now being at the other end going, yes, it's so cool that it happened, and realizing how easy, way easier to not do it would have been. I think that is really something that I'll be taking with me forward, is more inklings of crazy ideas that I don't know how to do, but if I'm interested, I just want to give it a shot. And if I can take all the stuff that we talked about, in this episode and bring that with me forward, there's a chance I'll succeed. But even if not, at least I'll know that I tried. And that'll feel a lot better than wondering what if just from not.
There's always a way, Jeff. There's always a way.
Well, I think that may be a wrap for us then.
Well, where can people find you if not on the show?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on LinkedIn now. That's it. I'll launch a pen name for my books here coming soon and share a lot about that as it happens. But Nadia, where can folks find you and spark your zeal?
Well, I saw that you also have a new LinkedIn header. That was so nice. Congrats on that.
Yes.
With all of your
I'm immersing myself into just being an author. This is who I am now for more than a year, which is cool.
I love it. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn as well, or all over social media. And you can join my weekly newsletter at nadiacarta.com if you want to receive some weekly, let's say, pills of wisdom and vitamins for your spirit to keep in this journey. And then Jeff and I will now focus on the book. So it's not the end of 99 Humans. This is the continuation of our dream to creating this multimedia platform. So we hope that you'll follow the adventure, buy our books once it's out, and let us know if we can help you in any way in your organizations. We're here for you.
I'm still so excited for this book. Like, to have a little bite-sized, chapter for every lesson that we learned and every person we talked to. This is a real resource that I want for myself. So in the spirit of only controlling things we can control, it will exist because I really want it, even if nobody else wants it.
Oh, I want it. So it's the two of us. And please don't remember, everybody, give us 5 stars. It really helps the algorithm. Give us a like on LinkedIn. Don't be shy, and share it with others, also on YouTube. And I guess that we're very thankful to you that you are our listener. Thank you for following every episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for
thank you
encouraging us. It really meant so much.
Absolutely. That's a great point. We would not have made it through if it was just dead silence on the other end. So huge thank you.
All these messages.
Okay.
I love you, Jeff.
Love you. So fun. Bye, Nadia.
Bye. Bye.